Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morgan, North Motor City Madmouth. Great crew tonight. But let me go out there and give everybody an overview about what we are looking to do. First of all, tonight we're going to be talking about the Oakland A's woeful attendance because it is bad. We're going to talk about Albert Pujols chase for 700. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Was he disciplined harsh enough? And my crew is going to have an opportunity to talk about whatever they want. So meanwhile, we're glad that everybody can join us here for another edition of the Sports Exchange. I have my crew, Greg Fuchs, writes for us. Greg, welcome back.
Glad to be here, gentlemen.
George Eichhorn, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here, Scott and guys.
And JB Ellis.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
All right, we're ready to have some fun tonight. So before we do that, George Eichhorn, why don't you give a quick shout out to the book that you wrote that I'm proud to be in.
Yep. And Scott, thank you. Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air chronicles over 70 years of Detroit sports broadcasting, going back to the legendary Ty Tyson, who called the first Tigers game and the first University of Michigan football game. And then guys like Ernie Harwell and Bud Lynch and Bruce Martin, Van Patrick, George Blaha, and many, many more. The Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air is published by Arcadia, and there's a link to it on the South Florida Tribune website. It'll be a great book. It'll be a great gift for anybody that loves sports. You'll learn a lot about the Detroit and Michigan sports scene by getting a copy of it. And yes, Scott is in there as well. We did not forget our man, as he is shown with Jimmy Connors and I believe Muhammad Ali. Good job. Nice book. And support us if you can by getting yourself a copy of the book.
Well, the best part about the book is there's a whole lot of writing and there's a lot of pictures. Those are kind of like. So before we go into the topics, those are really the best kind. Subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel or visit www.southfloridatribune.com and follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. To advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the broadcast can actually be heard on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. So, folks, go to youtube.com, find South Florida Tribune. There's a palm tree out there. And please hit the subscribe button, and you can see everything visual about us. So, all right, we've got a few main topics I want to get to, and then I'll let you guys freelance it on the back end. As I mentioned at the outset of the show here, we'll talk about the Oakland A's woeful attendance. I'm going to break down some numbers. Each of you get a chance to comment on it. The Oakland A's attendance, I'm going to break it down game by game because they started Monday night. And the Marlins 3-0 win, a total of 2,630 fans showed up at the Oakland Coliseum. As if that wasn't good enough, let's go Tuesday night. Miami won 5-3, 4,028 showed up. And, of course, this afternoon, the Oakland A's won 3-2 in 10 innings, but 3901 showed up. So if you're looking for some lottery numbers, I'm going to give you a bunch of them right now, okay? And if you win, I don't not want to know about it. Your first four-digit number out there is 2630, okay? The other one that you have out there is 4028, and I didn't make these up. These are numbers that were calculated at the turnstiles. And today was 3901. If that isn't good enough, you need a five-digit one. The total is 10,559 for all of 3 games. My goodness. So now what was interesting about the whole thing is I happened to see a photo of Ricky Henderson and Don Mattingly that were in the building. Okay, I don't know if they count against the totals. This is Miami's first time in Oakland since 2017. And the amazing part about these two franchises is the Miami Marlins have won 2 world championships, while the A's organization as a whole has won 9. The A's organization goes back to Philadelphia 1901 and 1954, Kansas City 1955 to 67, Oakland 1968 to present. Won't even tell you exactly where they could be headed. We'll leave that for another day. The records obviously going into today, Oakland was 45-79 with a 363 winning percentage. They were 5th place in the AL West. And everybody knew that this was going to be a rebuilding year for them anyways, which is why Bob Melvin bolted down to San Diego. Miami's 54-69, 439, 4th place in the NL East. And, of course, the thing is, too, as we talk about, I had an opportunity to see the Marlins and the San Diego Padres on August 17th, 2022. And Lone Depot Park, we had 7,273. A lot of numbers. Well, I'll tell you right now that 7,000 273 topped the 2-day total of 6,658. Is that enough numbers for you guys? I don't know about you, but those numbers are what they are. And we're going to give the local resident here, Greg Fuchs, an opportunity to talk about the Oakland A's, because we realize the Marlins may not be perfect saints here when it comes to attendance, but boy, the Oakland A's are anything but. Take it away, Greg.
Yeah, I'm used to the poor attendance in South Florida. There's various reasons for it. I'm going back into my memory banks here. Yeah, Oakland doesn't have a good team this year, but they've had plenty of competitive teams, multiple World Series champions. And I don't ever remember them drawing very well. Even back in the days of Reggie Jackson and Catfish Hunter, I don't think they were selling that place out. I mean, the proof is there. It's long overdue. Go to Vegas, go to Nashville, go to Charlotte, go somewhere, because obviously there is no support for the A's in Oakland.
Yeah, I was actually at the Oakland Coliseum for the Detroit Monitor covering the Lions and the Oakland Raiders. And my goodness, folks, we weren't looking at the Miami Dolphins and Oakland Raiders. We were talking about the Miami Marlins and the Oakland A's. But I've covered a game over at Oakland Coliseum, and it was a very intimidating place when the Raiders were there. I walked into the Oakland Coliseum and thought I was walking into a haunted house because that's how intimidating the place was. But George Eichhorn, the numbers don't lie. We know in Detroit, the Tigers are struggling, but not that bad at the gate because these numbers are just sick.
Yeah, they're pathetic. The attendance is pathetic at the Coliseum. It reminds me a little bit of back in the days of the Cleveland Indians, that big old barn they played in called Municipal Stadium. And that place was cavernous. And I remember going to a game one time there with a couple of buddies here from Detroit, and it was ridiculous. The ushers were chasing us around, literally. Oh, you can't sit over there. Those are box seats. Okay, come on. There's 70,000 people here on a Labor Day weekend, and there must have been 10,000 at the game. So I can only imagine what's going on there at Oakland and how pathetic it is for the fans to show up and see so many empty seats. It is ridiculous. And I agree with you, Greg. They've had some really darn good teams and good baseball there over the years. Dick Williams and that gang that he had. And I remember that they were worried about playoff games and even the World Series. Remember the discussion way back in the day about will they be able to sell it out? And there were a lot of postseason games that did not get sold out. I think the World Series did when they were in it. But I'm just saying that back in the day when they had those great teams with Reggie and Dick Williams and Catfish Hunter, they had trouble filling the seats. Absolutely right. And Detroit was one of their rivals, of course. We faced them in the ALCS one time.
Yeah,
but,
1972, actually.
Yep. And there's just no excuse for it other than the fact that the fans, it's just apathy. Apathy.
Well, if you've ever been to the Oakland Coliseum, the place is definitely seen as better days. I think they need a 35,000 seat stadium. The only problem that you have out there is, number one, this California doesn't want to pay for it, and they've been dealing with this dilemma for 20 years. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now, when I spoke to Mark Wilson last week, Mark said, you know what, they're not any closer to building a stadium here in Vegas either, because there's a lot of things that are go into it. It's not to say it won't happen, but I think what they want to find out whether or not the A's are serious, they're going to make a decision, and we'll see how this thing goes along. This is national headline stuff, okay? What their attendance is getting to a point where it's embarrassing the city. It's funny, George, how you bring up Cleveland Municipal Stadium. I saw a couple of baseball games there. Of course, I've covered Lions games there. But one of the games that stands out is when the Toronto Blue Jays were taking on the Cleveland Indians, and Dave Steve lost a no-hitter when a ball hit a rock right inside at second base and went over, and I thought that was my perfect game that went down. And Dave Steve had a lot of near misses. So I'm glad you brought up Municipal Stadium. So, all right, JB, okay, you have the last word on the Oakland A's woeful attendance.
So there's more people that live in my apartment building that have been to the Oakland games this week. What does that tell you? Besides for that, we got sex acts going on in the upper deck. Maybe that's a new way for them to make money. I don't know, because nobody's going to the games. And they had great teams for, a while. They've, not spending money. They put a really good product on the field, and they still couldn't get people to show up. So, either you get a new stadium or you move, because continuing to do it this way, it's not working. Got to do something.
I mean, this is becoming outright embarrassing. It's one thing to have bad attendance. It's another when you're a laughing stock and it becomes embarrassing. And that's why I let off with this story, because all the different pictures I'm seeing and all the numbers are just, they don't lie. So if I want to satirize it in a sense where I've given you, our listeners and viewers, an opportunity that I've given you several state lottery choices, okay, and let me go out there and do it. I'm not as pretty as a lottery woman, okay, men or whoever are doing it these days. But let's have some fun with this because we are in the entertainment business. Your first 4-digit number is 2630, as in Monday night. Your second one is 4028, as in Tuesday night. And your third one is 3901. If you want another 4-digit one, 6658, the cumulative effect. And if you want the 5-digit, 10,559. And if I'm going too fast, watch and listen to the episodes some more. And then you can write them down. And if you win, I don't want to know about it. So that said, okay, let's keep the humor part of this. Although I don't think the A's are looking at it. This is humor. All right, so we're going to go on to a little bit more pleasant subject. Albert Pujols Chaser 700 stands at 693. He's retiring no matter what. But, will he get it with 5 weeks to go? You have the universal designated hitter involved. And I can tell you right now, George Eichhorn, okay, Al Kaline once told me in Lakeland, Florida, that he regretted not playing because he had 399 home runs. He only needed one more, and he would have been in the 400 home run, 3,000 hit club, but it didn't stop him from getting in on the first ballot. So, all right, so I'll give my take on this one first. I think Pujols is going to get the milestone. I really do. He's playing well. And the reason why I say that is because you have the universal designated hitter. The Cardinals want him to get it, and they're going to play him every day. Now, let's face it, you only need 7. That's it. But that said, Greg Fuchs, you can take the lead on this one.
I certainly hope he gets the 700. It's a great story. I don't know anyone who dislikes Albert Pujols. He's been red hot of late, but one of the challenges for him is he does not play every day. And the Cardinals, winning games still matters to them. They need to win the NL Central. So the manager's going to have to put out their best lineup every day, which right now to me, Pujols should be out there more often than not because he is swinging a hot bat. But only 5 weeks to go in the season. He's got to hit 7 home runs. That's easier said than done. So let's keep putting Pujols out there while he's hot, and let's see what happens. But it's going to be a great story.
Yeah, I get the feeling they're going to play him every day. Remember, you're talking about the universal designated hitter. You're not hiding this guy in the field anymore. So I think as time goes on, you're going to see Albert in the lineup a lot more. And it was good that him and Miguel Cabrera ended up going to the All-Star game. They made the exception to put him there. Eichhorn, go ahead.
Well, I think it could be a stretch. I mean, yes, he does have to play a lot and will play a lot, but 7 home runs is no easy thing at his age. I'm just tickled pink, though, that he has put together such a wonderful season, and if there's any doubt whether the Cardinals were going to build that statue for him, I think it's a done deal now. The fact that he came back to St. Louis, he was welcomed by the adoring fans. Again, one of the best baseball towns in America is in St. Louis, as we know, and he's just had a terrific career. And if I could just contrast that with the sad, sad ending of Miguel Cabrera, the guy can play only 1 every 3 games or 2 games now. And, AJ Hinch admitted that, I can't play him every day. I got to give him a rest. And he's nothing but a singles hitter. He has no power left. And it's just kind of sad seeing the way Miguel is going out as opposed to what's happening to Pujols. But that being said, I know they're 2 totally different stories. And like you said, Greg, they're in the middle of a pennant race. And, there's a lot on the line. The Cardinals obviously want to win the division, want to get in the playoffs. And Albert has done a great job so far this year. I'm rooting for him. I hope he does it. But that's a lot of home runs from a man that age. Let's see if it pans out.
Well, I have no problem you incorporating it. Remember, I just told you that these 2 guys are in the All-Star game in L.A., so I've kind of set you up to do it. And Miguel Cabrera has another year left to go on his big contract, and I think at that point he'll be calling it a career. But no, it's okay. I think they're both first-ballot Hall of Famers, and I just came from there, so again, I hope Fred McGriff eventually gets there. I won't open up the conversation there, not Manningly, but staying on point here, okay? That again, I do believe that Pujols will get it. I'm very confident because of the universal DH, and the Cardinals are going to do it. And this guy hits home runs in bunches, is what he does. So we'll see. All right, JB.
So if he doesn't get to 700 home runs, is he being selfish for retiring? Why not come back? The fans in St. Louis would love to see him get to 700. He could play for a month, get to 700 if he's 3 or 4 behind, and retire then. So is he really being selfish if he doesn't get there by not coming back? I don't know if he's going to get 7 in the 5 weeks left. It's not an easy task. He doesn't play every day, unfortunately, right now. But he is set up at least nicely that the DH is in the National League right now, so he'll have a shot. But, rather than thinking, will he get it this year? If he doesn't get it, is he being selfish by not coming back and giving the fans in St. Louis something to look forward to? Because I think that, they deserve to see that. And the only person I know that doesn't like Pujols is John Shear. And John, I don't understand it still to this day. But, I want to see the guy get 700, so hopefully it happens.
Yeah, I just hope that Albert Pujols doesn't regret it like Al Kaline did, because I know Al told me at Joker Marchant Stadium he wishes he would have done it. Well, I don't know. We'll let that storyline play out. I know there's a lot of tough storylines out there, but this is one I'm looking forward to seeing until the very end. And if everything goes the way it should be scripted, okay, it should. I should also point out Roberto Clemente got his 3,000th hit before he was tragically killed. And you talk about synergy and how that worked out in 1972 when he died in that plane crash. At least he ended up in the 3,000 hit club. Baseball is a type of sport where you have a lot of storylines and a lot of Hollywood endings. I really hope and pray, because everybody knows that baseball in St. Louis is revered. You get traded to St. Louis and you're a rental. You're not a rental because you embrace the city as much as you do, and you do want to stay. So, and Albert Pujols, yeah, it is fitting that he did return back to St. Louis and solidify statue status like George Eichhorn talked about. All right, one more topic of the night. And folks, I changed the format around as I want to have 3 set topics and then give my crew an opportunity to say what's on their mind as well. But that third one is a loaded one. Okay, we're talking about Deshaun Watson wound up with an 11-game suspension. It's a $5 million fine. Will be returning to action when the Browns visit the Houston Texans on December 3rd. And bear in mind, he wasn't charged, though, on 2 occasions by the legal system. So, I'll lead off again. I think he should have gotten a year, but the NFL did not want to get caught in litigation. But I understand the fact that they did go a year because he did not get charged with the legal system. I still believe that he should have gotten 2 years like Trevor Bauer, but the NFL was pushing for a year. But this is where we're at, Greg. Should he have gotten a lot more than the 11 games?
Well, it's tough to say because there's a lot of assumptions being made. Where there's smoke, there's fire, in my opinion. There's no doubt in my mind he did a lot of inappropriate stuff to multiple women. But there's none of these 23 out of 24 women decided to take the money instead of going to court and doing public testimony as to what happened to him. So we really don't know what happened. So based on that, how long should he be suspended? I mean, Ray Rice got suspended, I want to say 6 games for assaulting one woman, and it was on tape, which right. I think certainly exacerbated the situation with Ray Rice. And if Ray Rice got 6 games for one incident, and you can argue whether attacking the woman or sexually is worse. I'm not sure. They're both terrible. If he got 6 games, you would think he'd be suspended for 2 seasons. Now, the one thing I haven't heard anyone really talk about a lot is he didn't play at all last year for whatever reason. He got paid, I believe.
Yeah, he did.
So in essence, you could say he was suspended for 17 games last season. I'm not sure how much that was taken into consideration by anybody. And I'm just surprised there's not more public outrage. You hear about people protesting and putting pressure on advertisers these days when they don't like the way things goes. And it's sort of flown under the radar, except for football fans. So I'm surprised it wasn't more, but I understand you got the NFL Player Association involved. But I think the NFL just wanted to put this entire situation behind them.
Well, you know what? Before I turn it over to George, amazingly enough, when you bring that up, Greg, Watson got what he did, but meanwhile, Colin Kaepernick didn't kneel for the national anthem. You didn't kill anybody. But I do believe that you stand for the national anthem at all times. And he got blackballed from the league because no owners wanted the public relations nightmare by having Colin on the roster. So, I've seen other people do worse things. And Greg Hardy's no choir boy either with the track record that he had with the Cowboys. So, I understand the Deshaun Watson situation. And yes, he did settle 23 of the 24 cases. And we know civil versus public opinion is what it is. But, let's face it, Pac-Man Jones had a bad track record. And the NFL has had a lot of guys that have committed serious crimes. But meanwhile, this guy here, although let's face reality, I think the reason he didn't play is, number one, the Texans he was too much of a distraction for the Texans. They didn't want to run the risk of injury. And they didn't want all these legal headaches hanging over their heads. So keep them healthy, get what you can get. And to Houston's credit, they did get a haul for him, didn't they? So, it's like they got a lot of draft choices, and now they're paying out all this money. So lots of interesting layers, Greg, like you alluded to. But again, the suspensions, there's nothing consistent about it. And, Roger Goodell made it a personal thing that, hey, you know what? I'm taking myself out of the equation. The 6 wasn't good enough. They ended up having another outside source. I don't need to get in names. They're not really particular necessary anyhow. But, they ended up getting the best deal they could. Nevertheless, that's the way the new collective bargaining agreement operated. With that said, George Eichhorn, Deshaun Watson, should he gotten 11 or 6? We know was too light.
Yeah, I was on a show with you, Scott, a couple of weeks ago, and you asked me that question, and I thought he would get 6 or 7 games. That was before the ruling came out, so I was spot on with that. But we knew that the NFL wouldn't settle for that, obviously, and the commissioner wanted more, and he got more. I don't think that he deserved a whole season off. I'm satisfied with the 11 plus the $5 million fine. What I don't like is the crafty way that the Browns management went about structuring his contract, where his salary this year is minuscule compared to future years as a Browns QB. And don't tell me that wasn't all done with this in mind, because we know it was. And I think that, you pretty much would need a miracle, I would think, to salvage the Browns season. So even if he comes in, in the 12th week of the season, unless the Browns do something really terrific that I'm not aware of with their backup quarterbacks, there's going to be a tough situation down there. They're going to end up probably choking this year anyway. So I don't think the Browns really are going to be too upset about the length of it. But I do agree with the fact that many more plaintiffs, many more women were involved. And it's kind of strange, like you alluded to, Greg, that so many of them, went for the settlement. And unlike the Bill Cosby case, unlike the Rice case or other cases that have been in the headlines, this one was very strange, with him not being charged with any crime at all. And like you mentioned, 23 out of 24 took the settlement. So a lot of open-ended questions here. I just don't like what he did, if it's all true. And I don't like what the Browns did either with the structuring of his contract. But it is what it is.
Well, before I turn over to JB, okay, remember how neatly this was handled. He's coming back against the Houston Texans in Houston, okay? I will bet my last dime, okay, that with the publicity that this thing's going to get, don't be surprised to see, I don't know when the game is time-wise, that it gets flexed to national TV if for no other reason the storyline. If that game isn't when it is, I think you're looking at 11. If that game were a couple weeks later, you'd be looking at 12 or 13 games. So I don't think the NFL isn't looking to capitalize on a headline, and this is a headliner returning to Houston with Deshaun Watson in light of it. So let's not kid ourselves. We all know full well how scheduling works, and you take advantage of every story you get. Greg, you're giving me an interesting look, so I think you want to say something on this.
Yeah, I mean, I understand exactly what you just meant, Scott, and I've heard that from more than one person. But if I was the NFL, I want to get the spotlight off of this matter.
Right.
It's been resolved. Let's put it behind us. And as soon as that first game comes back, it's in Houston, it's going to get a lot of attention. If that was just another week against not the Texans, I think it would be less attention. So if I was the NFL, I would have picked a different opponent to have him come back with.
All right, but you know what, Greg? I'm going to tell you this right now. This isn't Toastmasters over at the Coral Springs Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the media, Greg Fuchs. Okay, welcome to the media. We don't do things as easy as they do in business. This is big business, and I think I agree with you. I think they should have picked another opponent, but the way the dominoes drop, Greg. Okay, he's playing in Houston. There's going to be a sellout. And I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to lose their voice booing this guy from here all the way
No
to
doubt.
Alaska, and don't think that whether we like the attendance, sometimes bad publicity is as good as good publicity, especially when you selling more souvenirs. Who, for all we know, the Texans could be drumming up something where they have a Deshaun Watson T-shirt that they're going to come up with and profit and use capitalism involved. You never know. I'm not a business person by trade. There's other people far more qualified. But let's face it, this is how it worked out. He is supposed to play against the Houston Texans. And what can I tell you? That's how it got drawn up. And I do believe if the Texans, it could have been 12 or 13, depending on how it turned out. But, that they arrived at 11. And do we think that anything is coincidental or ironic? No. I mean, hello, welcome to Sports 2022. All right, JB, I've given you a lot to bite on here. Give it to me.
So, first off, the Browns are by far the worst in this whole tree of groups. They had Kareem Hunt, who we all saw what he did with the girl by the elevator. Then you have, Deshaun Watson, who they traded for with all the allegations. They structure his contract so that it's favorable, so he doesn't lose a lot of money. So right off the bat, to me, they're the biggest problem of the group. After that, you have Deshaun Watson, who's accused of 24 counts of sexual assault. That's a lot of counts. Listen, whether he did it or not, the fact that they settled, to me, implies guilt. It doesn't mean he's guilty, but it implies guilt. And once you start doing that, to me, it should have been at least a year. Anything below that, to me, doesn't make any sense. And the fact that the NFL had the nerve to bring it back against Houston, to get everybody and their mother to watch that game because they're playing the Houston Texans and we're all going to want to see this guy come back. It's going to be the biggest game of the week. It's an absolute joke. The NFL, shows that they don't care about anything but the pocket. They don't care about player safety. They don't care about women, who are about almost 49% of their fans at this point. Women are a huge, huge fan base in the NFL. They're not concerned with that. So, everyone in this group of that three, to me, all shows you what they stand for. It's not a very positive group.
I agree.
It makes me wonder if some of those women at the game will just get up and walk out.
Yeah, I think Goodell was trying.
Possibly.
I think Goodell was trying to go out there and tell women I did my best to get them the best punishment that I could, and I wasn't able to do it. I'm not going to say that he doesn't go ahead and absolve any responsibility from it, but I kind of have to give him a mulligan this time, only in the sense that, he tried, but he was, he went as far as he could and they settled for what they could. But no, I'm still going to stick to what I believe, that Watson should have gotten a year, and I won't back off. And I do want to mention one other person before everybody has a chance to talk about what they want to talk about. O.J. Simpson, we all remember that trial of the century, right? We all know that many of us assume that he killed Ron Goldman, and Nicole Brown. But the reality is he was acquitted because he had a dream team of lawyers. And you know what? He lost a civil suit. None of the money's been paid out. But when he got into an ounce of trouble in Vegas, they slammed the door shut on him, and they went out there and took that situation into consideration. All right, LA, you didn't get him. We got him. And that's all I'm going to say about it. So I'll put that out there, folks. Feel free to let us know what you think about all these comments. So now we're doing something a little bit different tonight, and this will be a common thing going forward here on the Sports Exchange. All right, Greg Fuchs, what's on your mind? Give me one headline that you want to talk about.
Sure. We already talked about Albert Pujols and what a great story it will be. Can he hit 7 home runs? I'm going with another great baseball story for the last 5 weeks of the season. It also involves home runs. Aaron Judge is at 48 home runs. And I don't care how many homers Sosa, McGuire, or Bonds hit. The record in my mind is still 61. the New York press is certainly going to believe it is still 61. So he's got to hit almost 2 or 3 home runs every single week for the rest of the season. He certainly can do it if anyone can. I think one of the challenges is just from a win-loss perspective. If I'm an opponent of the Yankees, and I've been wondering this for over a month, why do you pitch to Aaron Judge? And there's no one else in that lineup who is as scary as Judge. Walk him a lot more than he is. Let someone else beat you. But I think it's going to be a great story. And obviously playing for a New York team, the media is going to run with this story. So I think it'll be fun.
All right, George Eichhorn, what's your storyline of the week?
Well, this story probably didn't make national headlines, guys, but we have a situation here in Detroit where the Tigers are on the prowl for a new general manager. As you know, they gave the boots to Al Avila. And we got an outfielder named Grossman that went down to Atlanta. And I don't know if you caught some of his comments, but he made some comments that were not very flattering of the Tigers and the fact that the analytics department of the Detroit Tigers probably didn't help him one bit. Because when he got to Atlanta, he worked with several guys on the analytics team down with the Braves, and all of a sudden they found a flaw looking at his batting stance from a year ago compared to this year. So it makes the whole Detroit situation even worse if it can be any worse than getting ready for a general manager. Now you've got the stain of what the hell is really happening here in Detroit with Coolbaugh, the hitting coach, with these young guys they've been hiring for analytics, and they're supposed to be those super duper guys, whiz kids, I call them. Right. Well, I got news for you. I think this new general manager better clean the house. And I'm not kidding you. Go in and out of that front office, and Detroit's they've got to come to terms with the fact that they are years behind these winning organizations like the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Braves or the Tampa Bay Rays. It's just disgusting that Grossman goes down to Atlanta. Now, I know he hasn't done well in the last couple of games. Okay. I'm not saying he's not a 300 hitter, but the fact that they were able to find out the flaw, it's an embarrassment to the Detroit Tigers organization.
Yeah, I read something to that effect. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, JB, what's on your mind?
So I'm going to do the clown prince of basketball, Kevin Durant. Yesterday decided that he's now on the same page with Marks, Nash, and Nets ownership, that they're going to try and win. He's going to honor his contract that he signed for the max money, and he's going to stay and play in Brooklyn. Well, you know what, Kevin Durant? I was a Net fan. I live in Brooklyn. I still want to see the Nets win, but I don't want to see you win. You're already a loser. Listen, you signed a contract. You built the team. You wanted to be the GM, the de facto GM as you were playing. You got Kyrie Irving. You got James Harden. You got the coach you wanted. Everything you wanted, you got. And when it got tough, you said, I want to be out of here. It's not the way it works. Play, win games. Your talent speaks for itself, but stop talking about it and start playing games.
I'm glad you brought it up because I'm not devoting a show to the NBA, but at least if you go ahead and mention it, at least nobody will come back at me and say you forgot this. I'm going to mention one that I actually read about today, believe it or not. Joe Madden leaving the LA Angels, who's enjoying his summer off. He talked about the Angels culture being what it is, with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. They gets fired in the midst of a 12-game losing streak. The guy gave 33 years to this organization, and they had a bad spell, and they found him as a scapegoat. And don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed my dealings with the LA Angels. Tim Mead, obviously the former director of communications, vice president, was a really close friend of mine. I've always liked the Ain't. But, I think Joe Madden really deserves an opportunity to get another job. And think about him. You talk about JB Cubs Confidential is one of your shows. Is that correct? Here's a guy right. So he went out there and broke that long over century jinx, and he thought he was going to go back to the Angels to get them straightened out. And what do you think? They ran him out inside of 3 years. I think he deserved a better fate than he did with the Angels. And he's going into the Hall of Fame for no other reason. He was able to put the Tampa Bay Rays on the map and won with the Cubs. My goodness. So I hope Joe Madden does get an opportunity to go out there and manage again. But you know what? He's enjoying the time with his family up in Pennsylvania during the summertime, and he will be a lot more selective of the next job he gets. So, I think, to me, enjoy your summer, Joe. You've certainly earned it. And, there's a lot of good managers. I do predict that the managerial openings will be a lot. We're not going to get into that tonight. But enjoy your summer, Joe, because because I have a feeling you'll be busy next summer managing somewhere else. What a show we've had tonight, guys. It really has been a lot of fun. I always say in quantity, it's quality, but we covered a lot more ground with what we were able to do. So I'm going to go over a little bit of promos here, and then we're going to call it a night. Because it's important that we do everything we can to make sure we highlight the keywords. But I want to give everybody an opportunity to freelance it as well, because I don't dictate this show. You guys do. So with that said, folks, subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel, or just go to youtube.com and find South Florida Tribune with the palm tree, and go out there and hit the subscribe button. That works. Or visit www.southfloridatribune.com and follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. Advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Special shout out to Candy Ebling. What can I tell you, folks? Without her, our website is dark. Okay, she does a marvelous job on the broadcast. I know she had an opportunity, JB, to appear one of yours. I'm sure she's looking forward to more opportunities with you. We'll get into that at a later date, but at least she also is a host of Fire Up Wisconsin, but she's our MVP on this platform. She handles all the content putting up there, the broadcast, takes pictures. What else can I say? So she's the MVP. Greg, one last thing. Any quick closing thoughts before we call it a night?
Quick closing thought. I'll follow up on your Joe Madden comment, because I'm a firm believer in 90% of the time that a manager or coach gets fired, it's because they didn't win enough games. And I think 90% of the time, why didn't they win enough games? Because the general manager didn't give them enough talent. So I think 90% of the time when a manager or coach gets fired, the GM should be going out the door first, and it rarely happens like that.
Well, the way you write dynamite stories, I wouldn't be surprised if I see that on my desk within the next few days anyways. George? Never know. Well, I kind of know with you a little, but I'm not trying to send you any tips. I'll wait for it to hit the desk, and we'll go from there. George, some quick final thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Madden's a great guy. I'm involved in the National Polish American Sports Hall of Fame. And Joe Madden, we named him the year he won with the Cubs. He was the man of the year for the Polish Sports Hall of Fame here in Troy, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. And Joe's a great guy. I echo your sentiments exactly, Greg and Scott. The man was shafted and certainly deserves another shot and will get another shot. And take a look at the Angels. Oh, gee, how are they doing right now? Yeah, well, there you go. Pretty lousy without him at the helm. They're doing right now. Pretty lousy. Even though I like Phil Nevin, this is a ship that's not going to be turned around this season at all in Anaheim or Los Angeles. So great show, guys, being part of it. Love to be part of it again. Reach me on Twitter at SNG Sports 99. Find me on Facebook and also LinkedIn, and been great being part of it tonight.
Glad to have you. All right, JB, some final thoughts on your contact information.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to give my condolences to the Kansas City Chief organization and Len Dawson's family. He passed away today. It's a shame when you see things like that. But besides for that, Joe Madden definitely deserves to manage again. I can think of many teams that are going to be looking for managers next year. I can think of many teams I'd like to see him manage, but it's a shame when you see him and Girardi not finishing the year. They both were decent managers, and they should have not been let go when they were. But besides for that, you can find me on Sideline Sports every Tuesday, 8:30, Confidential at 11 on Tuesdays, here on most Wednesdays, and a bunch of other shows, and Twitter, JB_the program.
All right, well, folks, obviously I mentioned my information. I'm not going to do it again. Twice is plenty. Don't want to burden you with it. But meanwhile, Greg, I know you do a good job writing for us as well. So, but that said, great broadcast tonight. Glad to have Greg Fuchs part of the crew. George Eichhorn, as always, and JB Ellis, you're a great friend, resource, and colleague What else do I have to say about that? So meanwhile, this concludes this edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morgan, Roth of Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you the next time. Have a good night, everybody. Please be safe. COVID is out there. We don't want to see anybody get sick. Anything you can avoid to go out there and get sick, by all means, please do that, because I don't care whether or not we're past the pandemic situation. The virus is out there, and we just have to make sure we do our best to try to avoid it. While the vaccines are all in place, I get it. Please don't take it for granted. And I will say one last thing. Rest in peace to my Aunt Judy. She's been gone a long time, about a year and a half, but it seems like a lifetime, and she died because of this dreadful virus. So meanwhile, once again, on behalf of Greg Fuchs, George Eichhorn, and JB Ellis, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth of Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. And if you wonder what hat I'm wearing, yes, it's my black USF Bulls hat. Go Bulls. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Catch you the next time on the Sports Exchange.
Good night.